And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again, another day committed to picking a fight with the mainstream media and providing you the timely truth centered around real estate, credit, tax planning, estate planning, so much more. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show, and our number one goals are to educate, entertain, enlighten, but we want to engage you to help you win in any marketplace.
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
Now we want you to pull out your smartphone, save our Consumer Advocate hotline number in your phone. At some point you're going to need it, 813-670-7372.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
813-670-7372.
Here's my number, so call me maybe.
And consumerqb.com. You can find a plethora of information available, links to all of our expert contributors at consumerqb.com. You can also submit a form, an email form that will come directly through to our team, and we'll make sure we answer any questions that you have. And we want to help you live a better life and avoid commission-based advice that's so prevalent in our community. It's Intelligent Talk Radio, and I've got some intelligent folks here in studio with me today. Our legal contributor, Mr. Attorney Joe Pippen, estate planning attorney. Welcome in, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show. This is great.
Yes, sir. My pleasure. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, I do estate planning. I'm always willing to talk about that. So
Yeah.
Everybody has three options. Which one do you have, Brandon? There's what's the most popular option in estate planning?
I would say the option of not planning is probably the most.
Doing nothing is the most popular. I hope you're not in that category.
I'm not. I got some of my stuff
So
in
the
place.
other two are either having a will or having a trust.
Right.
So if you have nothing or have a will, you know, if you die with an asset just in your name, that asset goes through probate. So probate is approving. That's a choice you make if you just have a will. So most of my clients in estate planning do a living trust. It's a fancy will that avoids probate, avoids guardianship, makes it quick, easy, fast, efficient, and it's a private document.
Yeah.
All good things.
Awesome. Well, we'll dive deeper into those options and talk to our listeners, our viewers out there. Maybe they're viewing our TV show on WeBeam TV. And also in studio today, Bill Blair, RealTec Business Brokers. Welcome in, sir.
Thank you, sir. Nice to be here.
Absolutely. So he's our expert contributor in the areas of buying or selling a business. So there's a lot of people that work, they work very hard to build this beautiful business that sometimes it's a husband-wife team, and they're putting all their effort and energy Saturdays, Sundays, weekends sometimes, and building a business, but then they're not prepared when it comes time in their golden years to sell it and reap the rewards. So we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about that. All right. And we always start off with a little bit of an audible here. We're going to give you an audible. It's Brandon Rhymes. As you know, I'm a published author, professional speaker. Check out our book on Amazon, Become the MVP in Your Industry by Surfing the Radio Waves. And that book is available on Amazon. But I'm also a published author and a professional speaker. So we want to help you call that audible here. Sometimes in life, you got to call that audible. So we got Peyton Manning helping us with that audible. So what we've been doing in our 2-minute drill is the rags to riches stories, the top 10 rags to riches stories of all time. And last week's show, we talked about Henry Ford and how he started off dismantling watches, and he grew his vast empire to $188 billion and climbing. And number 2 on the list is Walt Disney. So our childhood would have been dreary without this genius of a man. Walt Disney was also another boy brought up in a farm and used to draw pictures for his neighbors for money. He used to be the cartoonist for the school newspaper. Disney went through the jobless phase where no one hired him, and his brother had to help him with his job search. He had went from rags to riches by starting out with advertisements and going on to be animating his own cartoons. And what an empire Disney has been. Everything from Disney cruise ships and all of the the theme parks that we know about in the movies and cartoons. So there's your number 2 on the list. And thinking about the ability that we have to direct our lives. And it all starts with our thoughts. When we direct our thoughts in the right place, that's going to help us direct our success and prosperity, and we can literally attract anything into our lives that we want to, especially here in 2018. It's very optimistic with the economy doing well, tax cuts or recent tax cuts, a lot of things, great economic conditions right now for entrepreneurs as well. So let's go ahead and jump into this content. So we've got attorney Joe Pippen here in studio, and I think a lot of times that is a problem that people, they just don't want to bring it up. I think a lot of times if they're thinking about their uncle, their aunt, their mom, they're just a few years older, it's kind of an intimidating conversation to have, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. A lot of people like to put off estate planning. I think the major reasons are they don't like dealing with dying. Mm-hmm. They don't like dealing with parting with their assets. Some people not understand this one. They don't like dealing with attorneys to get this done.
Yeah.
But they seem to have a reason to put it off. But if they put it off and die, then they've really done something. They've allowed the state of Florida to do that for them. The state of Florida has a statutory will for anyone who doesn't have one when they die, and that goes through probate. Takes a long time. It's a public record.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of negative things about working your whole life, not doing any planning at all, and let the state of Florida do it for you.
Yeah, and it's going to cost you more money. It's going to cost a lot of heartache. How many times have you heard the story of the family member who got upset because they thought their mother promised them that ring or that heirloom, whatever that piece of jewelry might have been? They cause problems within the family.
Absolutely.
So that's a challenge.
And people fight over small things sometimes.
Yeah, and it causes
personal things. Mark Twain said, "You never know a person till you share an inheritance with them."
Right.
So,
yeah.
and I see that all the time, actually.
Yeah, and you think about it too. A lot of times it's kind of as we go. Here we go. In February of 2018, the pace of life just goes faster and faster every day, every week. The speed of change in business. So I think more important than ever to really have that reflective thinking time, especially at the beginning and the end of the year, to think about, okay, what are our assets? What are our holdings? Think about the family, the conversations, because a lot of times we don't really take action until it's publicized. For example, this last week we had the school shooting down there, and now it's a kind of a reminder, hey, here's another one. Here's another example of mental health. The gun conversation is going to start again. But when it comes to the estate planning and wills and trusts and getting that your ducks in order there, I think about James Gandolfini, aka Tony Soprano, passing without an estate plan. I think it was Prince, the artist. A lot of these, when it comes into those famous people, then it's like, oh wow, he didn't, and he left half $1 billion. In some cases, some of these people are leaving behind.
Michael Jackson had a trust, but never put anything in it.
Wow.
His home and nothing was in the trust, so everything still wound up going through probate. So it's important to deal with, and a lot of people try to do trust themselves and don't really understand what they're doing. So nothing can take the place of having an attorney guide you through it, answer all your questions, always be there for you, help you at least fund the real estate things that you have into the trust. If you have multiple properties in multiple states, you're going to have multiple probates with multiple attorneys in multiple states. So you can have a living trust and put all that real estate into one trust.
Yeah, that sounds expensive.
People think that, but we have on our website, we have flat fees.
No, I meant it's expensive when you have multiple states going on, multiple attorneys, by not preparing, and definitely the ability to.
And I know your other guest here today is going to talk about selling businesses, but a lot of people should be putting their business in a trust,
right? And
they should have a plan of succession. And all that's really part of estate planning as well.
That's right. Yeah, it's really thinking a layer deeper, thinking those levels of hey, what if contingencies, kind of like a business does a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The succession planning, like you mentioned. If you just joined us, I'm your host Brandon Rhymes. We're talking with attorney Joe Pippen, estate planning attorney here. He's got his own show as well, Saturday mornings, 8 a.m.
8 o'clock.
Ask an attorney, syndicated. And by the way, one of the longest runnings, or the longest running attorney talk show in the state of Florida. Is that right?
I think it's the longest running show, period.
Nice.
Not just necessarily legal shows. But we're doing it for 33 years.
Nice.
Continually. I was nationally syndicated for 2 years. We're currently on 12 stations around Florida.
Very cool.
And take live. It's always a live show, and we always take live questions. Most of them are educational, and we have a few entertaining calls, I call them.
Yeah, I bet. What's some interesting, speaking of entertaining, what's some different types of scenarios that you've seen play out, or maybe just success stories that you've seen over your years of practicing law?
Well, I think the radio has been, I do a lot of speaking engagements as well,
Yeah.
and you get a lot of those because you do radio, and I make myself available. I don't charge to go out and give a talk at a church or an AARP group or coffee meeting that somebody's having, a home association meeting. Always make myself available, and if you're there and you when I go out, I talk for a little bit about estate planning, then I take live questions from the audience, just like the radio show.
Right.
And I think you wrote your book about surfing the radio
That's right.
air there, and I think that's just a great way to build a business for anyone.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, we'll talk more about that as well and in the coming segment. And we also want to give a shout out to Mary Maids. This segment is brought to you by Mary Maids, the official cleaning partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Let Mary Maids take care of your winter cleaning. We know clean. Leave the details to us. They're licensed, bonded, insured, customized cleaning, screened and trained employees. They have additional services available as well. And they are the recipients of the Women's Choice Award, America's Most Recommended Cleaning Services. Mary Maids, relax. It's done. All right. So when we come back, more from our expert contributors, legal contributor, attorney Joe Pippen here in studio. And we also have Bill Blair with RealTec Business Brokers in studio as well. We're going to talk about buying, selling businesses, estate planning, succession planning, and a little bit of real estate mixed in there as well. So stay with us here. And we have our feel-good story of the week as a single dad walked 11 miles to work every day. Find out about this story when we come back on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey everybody, I'm Forbes Riley, celebrity TV fitness host and creator of The Spin Gym. I'm here today with Brandon Rhymes, and you're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show. Great ways to get happy, healthy, and wealthy.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, owner of Platinum MVP Realty and a top listing agent here in Tampa Bay. We're looking for listings. We're looking for inventory right now. It is a tight inventory. We've got families moving into the area that we just cannot find a property for, so we'd love to reach out or have you reach out to us and help you with that. And we also feature our listings. Here's a couple of hot listings that we have. This one's 4408 River Close Boulevard in Valrico in the Bloomingdale section. It's 4 bedrooms, 3 bath. And it's $299,000. Beautiful pool home on a corner lot, and it's got executive style features, 18-inch porcelain tile, over 3,100 square feet, $299,000. River Close Boulevard in Valrico, beautiful property. And we also have 15648 North Himes Avenue in Tampa. This is in the Northdale area of Tampa. 5 bedrooms, 4 bath, $485,000. Built in 2009, over 4,346 total square footage. Gorgeous property and a great property in Carewood. Great buying opportunity. Italian marble throughout as well. So great buying opportunity here in beautiful Tampa Bay. And this segment is brought to you by my chef. It's Chef Will Wagner, healthy meal delivery service. Chef Will Wagner and his team conveniently deliver organic meals to your home or office. And we're talking paleo, ketogenic, vegan, gluten-free kids menus available as well. Chef Will Wagner, my chef, and he can be your family chef too. All right, back here in studio, helping you win in any marketplace. Attorney Joe Pippen in the house, estate planning attorney, wills, trusts, and the succession planning when it comes to business. And we're going to bring in Bill Blair, RealTec Business Brokers, here in a moment as well. But I want to go back to Attorney Pippen. So what else are you seeing? I mean, when you think about this area of law, what are some of the success stories, or what are some things that you're seeing that as a consumer advocate that we should let people know about?
Well, it's important to be in control of things and to have a plan. Especially if you have a business. But also, you need to plan for yourself to not get yourself ever declared incompetent. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have anything planned and have a stroke or an accident, you could wind up being declared incompetent. Someone else gets appointed over you.
Wow.
And then you've lost control of everything.
Right.
So if you do estate planning, you can plan to avoid guardianship. You can plan to avoid probate. You can put the person in charge that you want to have in charge instead of having the state appoint someone. It's very important when you're discussing your estate plan with an attorney to discuss who would be the best person to do that. I had a couple this morning doing estate planning. They had one child overseas and one child here local. The one overseas was the most capable one of handling things, but the one here was more convenient. So it'd be they talked about having them serve as co. Well, if you do co, then they both have to sign everything. So actually, they decided to go with the one that was local. Mm-hmm. Although probably not the best overall choice between the two, but the other one wasn't here. It'd be very difficult for somebody to manage your property, everything from overseas. So it's very important to have a power of attorney. If you have a trust, the successor trustee can manage all of your finances inside the trust. If you have a power of attorney, they're going to deal with things outside the trust, retirement accounts, dealing with government agencies and so forth. And it's also important to have a living will. Do you want to be artificially maintained in a vegetative state? No. Most people don't. So if you have a living will, you need something in writing.
Right.
You need a healthcare surrogate to make healthcare decisions for you. You have a stroke or an accident, you don't want to leave it up to the court. So people really have, people put this off a long time, but when they get it done, they have great peace of mind. And it really doesn't take that. We can do most documents in a week or less. Yeah, to get it done, and then you check that off your list and go on to something else you should have done.
Yeah, I think it's just super important to be proactive in these areas. Just be proactive and reach out. consumerqb.com. You can submit a form there as an email, easy form that comes directly through to us, and we would love to help you with that and introduce you to Attorney Joe Pippen. He's a estate planning attorney, highly respected attorney here in Tampa Bay, many years on air as well. And some of the other things you think about too is the passwords, all these online passwords, social passwords maybe. There's a lot to think about. Medications, what are the daily medication regimens? There's a lot to really go into this estate planning.
Yeah, the power of attorneys we do now also give the power to deal with social media and passwords.
Yeah.
Who's going to close down your Facebook account?
Right.
Who knows the passwords there? Who's going to shut down the LinkedIn account and maybe post that you passed away?
Right.
All those things are important. And all the Instagram and all the accounts you can have. There are multiple accounts most people have these days.
Yeah.
And who can access those?
Sure.
So you need to have documents to allow people to get to those as well.
That's right. So let's bring Bill Blair into the conversation. So Bill, great point. Attorney Pippen brought up is when these business owners pass away, man, there's a lot of hard work and effort that's been put into that business over the years, and now you have this cumulative years and years of effort and work and sometimes sweat and blood involved with the business, and now lacking planning in a lot of different ways can affect the value and then what you're going to be receiving to the children.
Fortunately, I've never had that happen. So
yeah.
But what else do you want to talk about?
Yeah. So when you look at that, when you think about the business planning, that when people are, the number one thing I believe in this space, and when you look at building a business, keeping proper documentation, because that buyer comes in, or that buyer's going to come in, and the seller needs to be ready. And part of being ready is having the balance statements, the rent rolls. I mean, just depending on what type of business, right?
Financials. You're absolutely right. Business brokerage is a little different from what you're involved in, the residential home sales.
Right.
And the biggest difference is both are assets.
Right.
But the business makes money.
Right.
And a buyer is going to want to know, how much money does it make? If I stroke a check for this business, what's my ROI? How soon am I going to get my money back?
Right.
And most people probably do not know, business owners, but when you get a offer on the business and it's accepted, now the due diligence part starts, and the seller has to prove to the buyer how much money that business makes.
Right.
And that's called true profit. Some people might just think, well, gee, I can show them my tax return. And on the tax return, you're supposed to declare the profit the business made, and that's what you pay taxes on. But 80% of the tax returns out there don't really indicate the true profit.
Right.
So you have to do what they call a business valuation.
Yep.
And it's a complicated process. There are companies, specialized companies, that offer business valuations, and you'll pay up to $2,500. I'll do it for free if I'm your broker.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. One of the hardest things to think about is the valuation, because you hear different multiples for different industries. So let's talk about that a little bit. Like a pizzeria, for example, versus a industrial manufacturing company, or give us a little information about that.
Well, y'all use comps to price a house because it's easy for you with a database to determine what a similar house sold for in a neighborhood.
Right.
We have that same capability, but we don't use that initially to price the business.
Okay.
The business valuation does. And by definition, when you're working either with a business valuation or a good broker, we work from the tax return. We look to see what you declared as profit on the company. Then we focus on the expenses. And what we're looking for are non-reoccurring expenses. Mm-hmm. In other words, expenses that would not flow to a new owner.
Right.
And we call those add backs. Mm-hmm. I'll quickly tell you a funny story. I've sold a lot of laundromats. Yeah. And laundromats are cash cows.
Right.
Attorneys, doctors, and CPAs buy them and let their wives go by and pick up the quarters. A couple years ago, I was working with a really nice Vietnamese couple. And because I've sold the laundromats, I knew that most owners will stand there over the repair guy's shoulder watching them change a belt or a motor. And then later, they usually end up doing it themselves.
Right.
So on his tax return, he had $5,000 for repairs. And I said, whoa, that's a repair. You did that much in repairs? And the little Vietnamese sort of scratched his head. And he said, I don't know. I'll have to ask my CPA. And I said, no. You tell the CPA what your repairs were. Yeah. And his wife interrupted and said, oh, no, that's my Lexus payment. And I said, well, that becomes an add back then. That's a non-recurring expense.
Right.
So it's that kind of process that we have to go through to determine the true profit.
Right.
And businesses, what you said a second ago, are based on multiples. In Florida, the average multiple that a business sells for is about a 2 times, mm-hmm. 2.5, which means if the cash flow or the owner benefit, the true profit that you determined is, say, $50,000.
Okay.
Then on average, the business would sell for around $100.
Mm-hmm.
If the business made $100,000 on a 2 times multiple, mm-hmm. what did I say, 50?
Then it would be 200,000.
Yes, at 100.
Yeah.
So if I have the chance to talk about a couple of the listings later, I'll show you how you look at the numbers to determine, hey, is it priced fairly?
Yeah, let's do that when we come back. Let's talk about the that pool company you had last time, because that was an intriguing conversation when we talked about how you came up with the multiple and it's actually at a discount, selling at a discount. So I'd like to talk about that one and
Sure.
whatever listings you may have.
Got a
as well.
laundromat.
Got a laundromat? Okay. Good. Yeah, so that'll be great. And then we'll bring attorney Pippen back in the conversation as well and talk a little bit more about, some of these wills, trust, powers of attorney. And you hit on a point earlier too I want to touch on is the DIY. So many people try to sell their own real estate. They try to do their own tax planning, estate planning. I mean, there's a lot of issues that happen with the DIY, trying to do it on your own because you don't know what you don't know. and a lot of time that professional does. So stay with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. When we come back, we're going to jump into our Name That Tune. We're going to have all songs from today's list that are popular television show themes, as well as naming the TV show as well. And we have our Feel Good Story of the Week. Great story here about how some co-workers came together to help this single dad that was walking 11 miles to work every day. Find out what they did for him after this short break. Stay with us. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Hot Locks Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Hot Locks is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.
Hi, my name is Joe Stalteri. I'm one of the owners of Complete Care Systems. At Complete Care Systems, we do carpet cleaning, upholstery cleaning, tile and grout cleaning, tile and grout sealing, wood floor and laminate floor deep cleaning, as well as stripping and waxing of linoleum and vinyl floors, and a whole lot more. We also run daily deals and special, which you can find at CompleteCareSystems.com, or simply call Trisha up at 727-364-5158, and she'll answer all your questions and give you over the phone free estimates. Or she'll send me out to your home or office to give you an on-site free estimate. At Complete Care Systems, we don't cut corners, we clean them.
Listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP Realty, PlatinumMVPRealty.com. Giving a shout out to Brio Tuscan Grill. Our official restaurant partner is Brio Tuscan Grill at the International Plaza, located off of West Shore. And Brio Tuscan Grill is a great restaurant. You'll find a cozy atmosphere, signature drinks, and excellent Italian food. and a wonderful staff, very friendly staff over at Brio Tuscan Grill, our official restaurant partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Back here in studio, we're going to help you win, and we've got our legal contributor, attorney Joe Pippen, in studio. He's an estate planning attorney here in Tampa Bay, and we also have business broker. Our business broker expert is Bill Blair, RealTec Business Brokers. And so, Bill, before the break, we were talking about some of the different listings that you have. Let's talk about some of the inventory. Give our listeners a little teaser of what you're talking about there.
Okay, and I'll try to help you with the numbers. I love the numbers when I'm helping somebody look for a business. Remember that most businesses, on average, sell for a 2 times multiple, meaning that whatever the cash flow is or the owner benefit to a buyer, it's generally 2 times that.
Okay.
That fiberglass swimming pool place that I have, it's in Pasco County. He not only makes his own shells, but he sells retail competing with the other pool people. The company is priced at $590, and you might wonder, well, gee, is that a good price? Well, he's got real estate in there. The building's worth $200,000. So if you subtract 200 from 390, from 590, you got 390.
Yep.
Okay, the cash flow on that place is 303. So what's 2 times 300,000?
That'll be 6.
And it's really, whether you say it's priced at $590, but that's including $200,000 worth of real estate, it's really, the business is priced at $390. So you can see that's a good deal.
Yeah, it's under the industry averages.
You're going to get your money back in 9 months.
Especially when you have a synergistic relationship. Think about this. I called my friend I was telling you about that's in the business. So I thought about this. You know, if you're already doing business selling pools, now you're able to vertically integrate and add that into your business. Now your margins go down or go up.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
you
so
can make the spas too. I see that Yellow Duck ad every weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
To give them some competition. The other one I have is a Cheers type sports bar in Town and Country, Tampa. The price on that's $395. But again, working the numbers, they got a 4-cop license, which is all liquor. Mm-hmm. They can sell that. That's an asset for $200,000. It's worth $2,000 or $200,000. So if you take $200,000 from $395, you end up with $195. The cash flow owner benefit on that's $136,000. So 2 times, say, 140 is what? $280, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so if it's priced at $195, again, you're getting your money back in about 9 months, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
If businesses are selling for a typical 2 times benefit, 2 times cash flow, then that means it's going to generally take you 2 years to get your money back. Mm-hmm. And both of these, you're getting them back in 9 months.
Wow.
Super deal.
That sounds like a really cool deal. Now, typically the question, and of course, even in real estate, people like to say, well, why are they selling it? You know?
Good point.
Right.
The sports bar, there are 4 partners.
Yep.
2 are absentee, 1 is an investor, and the last guy just loves to go in at 3 o'clock. They open from 3 to 3. That's a long day.
Yeah.
And he just loves the customers.
Yep.
So he doesn't even work 20 hours a week.
Yep.
The other partner comes in at 8 in the morning, takes the cash from last night, deposits in the bank, and they've got a full staff with a good manager that runs the place. Yep. Minimum owner involvement.
Yeah,
I would say
owner involvement's low on that one. So that's interesting. You think about that, and that's an interesting business model. Okay, and then let's go to the other one.
The pool place. He's burnt out. This is a guy that's been in the business probably 20 years.
Yep.
And he the laundromat that I told you about, it's health reasons, and that comes up frequently.
Yep.
Depending on a person's age, they just get tired and develop some health problems.
Right.
That laundromat, for example, is in South Tampa, is priced at $120,000, and the owner benefit cash flow is $60. So what's 2 times 60?
That's 120.
They're right on the money. It's a fair price for the business.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and for people that are maybe moving to the area, they don't want to, they may have sold a business somewhere else, moving here. They already have the knowledge of how to operate that particular type of business. There's a lot of reasons why you want to reach out to Bill Blair, our business broker expert, RealTec Business Brokers. And so let's bring it up, this DIY. Let's open this up to conversation. Attorney Joe Pippen in studio as well with us here. So when you think about the DIY, at least for my industry, there's a lot of concerns. There's safety concerns. concerns, people approaching your house at all hours. People stick the FSBO sign in the yard, and they call that a marketing plan. So you're getting, first of all, you're getting less eyeballs on the property. You're not going to be marketing it like someone like myself would do with Platinum MVP Realty. You got the security concerns, the negotiation concerns. People will approach and say, "Hey, well, I'll give you X amount down, but will you hold the paper?" There's some shiesty people out there. So for my real estate industry, there's my DIY. Don't do it, spiel. What about you, Joe?
Well, I see people all the time that go online, LegalZoom or some other program, and try to do documents themselves. And I've rarely looked at what someone tried to do themselves and asked them a few questions, and they have what they thought they had. Right. And they made mistakes that are going to be more costly than if they had an attorney draft the documents to begin with. A lot of these forms are kind of national forms, and the laws in every state are different.
Right.
In Florida, has a unique homestead law and rules about your homestead that aren't in other states. And how you get that into a trust, there has to be special language in the deed and special language in the trust to get it done properly. Sometimes sometimes a married couple where one of them owned the homestead, they think they can put that into a joint trust or even do a deed to their own trust, and you need your spouse's signature. A lot of times under the Power of Attorney Act, they haven't have the current form of the Power of Attorney, which just recently changed in 2011. They redid the whole statute on power of attorneys. So people just make a lot of mistakes. People don't do it correctly when they have minor children. A lot of young people just put off estate planning because they don't think they're going to die. That's with wills and trusts. You name the guardian and who's going to manage the money and what age they get the money and all those kind of things. They don't have enough thoughtful consideration and somebody to talk to and ask questions to when they're doing the documents. So doing it yourself, I think, is a big mistake on estate planning. Yeah, big mistake. You look at leaving money. Your purpose is to leave money behind to loved ones, and then by making these small mistakes, it defeats that whole purpose. They're ate up with court costs, attorneys litigate, potential for siblings to argue and eat up the estate's cost as well. And actually, leaving someone an outright inheritance can be harmful to them. There are three good examples. Suppose you have a child that has an addiction. Right. So you give them an outright distribution. What have you done? You've enabled the addiction. Right. Suppose you have a spendthrift, somebody who's going to run through the money very quickly. I've read studies that say that it takes a person 17 months to spend their inheritance. So if you have a spendthrift in your family and you give them an outright distribution, what have you done? They've wasted the money and they retire. They're not going to have even a retirement plan. Yeah. Suppose you have a child with government benefits, and you give them money, they're going to lose their benefits. Mm-hmm. So there's what's called a supplemental needs trust you can develop for people on government benefits. Yeah, those kind of things you don't think about when you're trying to do it yourself. Yeah, and you write the rules when you're in a position, you're putting together the will, the trust, the POA. You're able to say, hey, once the kid turns 25, they get X amount of dollars. When they turn 30, or maybe there's a life event, maybe they decide to get married. There's these provisions that you can add into these documents, and then you can kind of set the tone of how this money is going to be left and leave your legacy behind that way. Absolutely. Control your legacy and control the money. And so, Bill, same question to you. RealTec Business Brokers, many years in the business broker business. Why do you want to try not to do it yourself? The old DIY. Well, fortunately, that doesn't happen too much in our industry, unlike maybe residential with the FSBOs. Yeah. A business is a chunk of change. That's an expensive asset. Right. And most people wouldn't have a clue trying to, you can't, unlike a home, you can't stick a sign out in front of your business. In 10 years, I saw one business that had a for sale sign in the front. I had to go in and ask her, who put that sign up? Yeah. And a commercial broker had done it. Ah. He's not a business broker. He sells buildings. Uh-huh. So he wasn't doing that business owner a favor. Right. So again, I would just say that as a broker, I can qualify a prospective buyer, and I can bring them to the table, guide them through due diligence. It just would not pay to try to do it yourself. Right. Leaving a lot of money on the table again. And in that example, that could be perceived as a blind ad that realtor went up and put it on the building. You're supposed to have your company branding and all that good stuff on there. Well, most business owners don't want the public to know that the business is for sale. That's why there's a confidentiality issue. Yeah. That's the challenge, yeah.
the broker, just like real estate, guides the seller through the process in a safe way and gets some top dollar for the business.
Yeah, you love it when the seller says, "Hey, I don't want to disrupt the tenants," because I completely understand the dynamic. But in your case as well, selling a business, but it's almost like being a secret agent, right? They want you to sell the property or the business, but don't tell it. Be careful not to tell this person or that person. You got to be real careful in those scenarios. But all right, when we come back, more from our expert contributors. We're going to jump into our Name That Tune. We're going to have a little fun here and have our Name That Tune, and we have our Feel Good Story of the Week as well. A single dad walked 11 miles to work every day until this happened. Stay with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. For more information, go to consumerqb.com.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
Enjoy tranquil seclusion in an eco-lover's paradise. Paddling through the mangroves where the only sounds you'll hear are the sounds of nature. Because you deserve to relax on vacation, visit Pasco County, Florida.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Brandon Rhymes here, the Consumer Quarterback Show, owner of Platinum MVP Realty and a top listing agent. We're looking for a bilingual Spanish real estate agent right now. We need to add someone like that to our team. If you know of any real estate agents that are bilingual, have them reach out. 813-670-7372. 813-670-7372. All right, we got a couple of hot properties I want to let you know about. This is Old Northeast section of St. Petersburg, just outside of downtown. 215 12th Avenue Northeast, St. Petersburg. 4 bedrooms, 5 bath. This is a 6-panel house. It's almost completed. The new photos are being taken as well. They're completed by Fabre Frameworks, our real estate photographers. Check them out at platinummvprealty.com. You'll see all the new pictures here. 3,750 square feet. $1.4 million listing with Platinum MVP Realty. And I got a beautiful property on the beach, Clearwater Beach, 1024 Mandalay Avenue in Clearwater Beach. Just reduced down to $739,000. Beautiful 2-bedroom, 2-bath property, over 1,800 square feet. Split floor plan. Located in North Clearwater Beach, minutes from the Gulf Coast, and you walk across the beach and walk across the street rather, and you are on the beautiful beaches of North Clearwater Beach. Somewhere sunny and 75. All right, So we're going to have a little fun here in studio today. We've got our legal contributor, Joe Pippen, attorney Joe Pippen, estate planning attorney here in Tampa Bay. Bill Blair, business broker. He's at RealTec Business Brokers, and he can help you buy or sell businesses. So we like to have a little fun here on the show, so we're going to have some fun and see what we can do with their Name That Tune. So today's songs are today's list is from theme songs of popular television shows. So instead of naming the song, just name the TV show. All right, here we go. Here's a popular show from 1994 to 2004. This was a very popular show, I believe, on NBC. Recognize that at all?
Haven't heard it yet.
You plugged in the right place. Turn it down. That was from Friends, that show, popular show on NBC, Friends, from 94 to 04. All right, here we go. Here's an old one, 1960 to 1968.
Andy Griffin.
Andy Griffin Show. That's right. I used to like that show.
Little Opie.
Yeah. What was it? Barney Fife?
Yep.
Oh, Barney.
Sheriff, the assistant sheriff.
Yeah, that's right. All right, here we go. Here's an old one, too. 1968 to 2001. Wow, that's a long-running show.
Mr. Rogers.
That's right, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood.
And I just heard he's coming out with a book or a movie or something like that. I just heard that, oddly enough, just a couple days ago. All right, last song.
It's the Cop program.
That's right, Cops. That's Cops,
The comedian and...
What was it? That's the show, Cops, though. Yeah.
Cops.
Popular show. Yep, that one ran from 1998 all the way to current. That one's still running. So there's our Name That Tune. Have a little fun there on our Name That Tune segment. And let's just go ahead and jump into our lightning round.
The lightning round!
I am so good at lightning rounds.
I majored in lightning rounds.
All right, so we have here top tips, nuggets of advice, parting words of wisdom. Attorney Joe Pippen.
Don't put off your estate planning. It's something very important for you and your family. You make their job. When you pass away, it's a very difficult time, so make their job easier to avoid the courts, avoid attorneys if possible, and make it quick and easy for them, and just don't put it off. It's very important.
That's right. Protect your family, protect your legacy with Attorney Joe Pippen here, estate planning attorney, wills, trust, probate, avoidance, powers of attorneys. Don't do it yourself. Bill Blair.
For sellers, if you want to sell that business and get top dollar, make sure you get a business valuation. Remember, you have to prove the profit to a buyer. For you buyers, go to my website, imabusinessbroker.com, and that's IMA, not IAM. Everything that we've talked about today is on there. You can search for 4,000 businesses in Florida on my website. Just look for search for businesses.
Cool.
And you can find them on the internet. I would just recommend, like you probably would, get a broker to help you.
Yeah.
We can work the numbers. We can help you decide is it a good business to buy.
And that's a good point that you bring up as well. I think people are a lot of times confused when I get calls from signs. I've got about 25, 26 listings out there, and I get calls and people don't understand. They kind of rush off the phone. What's the price? What's the price? And rush off the phone, hang up. They think that they, as a buyer, working with them as a buyer agent, that they're going to have to pay some extra fee. They don't understand it's kind of included in the real estate space when we're selling an asset. Typically, the seller is going to pay that fee, and then it's typically a 6% or 7% listing, cut in half typically. Now, with a business broker, a lot of times you guys act as fiduciaries, right, or as a transaction broker where you're covering both sides of the transaction, and if so, and then even with the buyer, on the buyer side, if you're representing a buyer, the seller's still going to pay you, not the buyer, correct?
That's correct. Seller always pays. If you call on my listing, yes, I would be a transaction buyer. On the other hand, if a buyer finds something on my website and calls me, then I'm the buyer's broker. I represent him. That's a better advantage for a buyer.
Right.
We typically are at 10%. Some brokers charge 12%, so a little higher than residential.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's an
But the seller pays the fee.
Yep, seller pays the fee, and it's well worth it because you're going to get the expertise. You're going to get contracts to close. All of the the analytical side of it as well. We're going to do the business valuation for them, a $2,500 value in many cases. All right, so let's go ahead and do our feel-good story of the week. Every week we want to tell you something positive, something good feeling for you to lighten your day.
Tell me something good.
All right, so our story today, single daddy walked 11 miles to work every day until his coworkers finally found out. And for the past 7 months, Trenton Lewis walked 11 miles to work every day. The 21-year-old from Little Rock, Arkansas, left at midnight to get to his 4 a.m. shift at UPS on time. He never missed a day. He was never late. Lewis never told anyone that he didn't have a car. He's never been one for excuses, especially when it comes to providing for his 14-month-old daughter. But his UPS coworkers eventually found out, and last week they surprised him with his first car. That's a young man that wants to work and will do whatever it takes to be successful, UPS clerk Kenneth Bryant said. If someone has that type of determination, I'd be willing to help them and just wanted to lend somebody a helping hand. Bryant said he started to ask around, got the coworkers to pitch in. They were astonished that someone would get up at that time of the morning and night and walk that far. Most employees didn't even know, but they were impressed with his grit. Soon enough, they raised $2,000, enough to buy him a 2006 Saturn Ion. So this was on a Facebook live feed, I guess, and he says, God always has something for you, said Lewis, and I'm never going to forget this ever. So pretty cool story.
Cool story, yes, sir.
Yeah, feel good story right there. And let's continue to just kind of have an open dialogue as we close out. We got about 3 minutes left here, but here we are. I want to, have you pull out your crystal ball, just overall kind of backing it up as a macro level. The economy. What do you think about the economy? What do you think's going on right now in terms of the stock market, real estate? In my opinion, it seems like things are very favorable, positive, upbeat environment. The tax cuts are going to start. We're already seeing some people making more in their paycheck. What say you, Attorney Pippen?
I think it's going to keep getting better. I wouldn't be surprised to see the stock market get up to 30,000.
Yeah.
And then probably in the next couple of years, I would think.
Right.
It's going to keep on growing. The tax cuts are very favorable. Businesses are increasing salaries, giving pay raises, and everything looks like it's on an upward trend to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Bill?
I agree. A lot of small business owners have been hurt with this last administration in that they weren't making the money they used to.
Right.
And if you'll recall, you have to show generally 3 years tax returns. So if you've got 2 of those years that were poor, it hurts the price you're going to get for the business. So all in all, we're expecting a lot from President Trump. I think it'll happen.
Now, the flip side of that, too, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it talked about where, on the flip side, hopefully this doesn't happen, but with some of these cuts, how are we paying for the cuts? Will that increase the national debt? And if it does, where's our...
Well, I hope the two things offset one another.
Right, yeah.
Or it would offset one another, plus be better.
Yeah, it's going to incentivize so many people, the jobs, the infrastructure, too. That's a big one that's coming up. If you start spending a lot of money on roads, bridges, that's going to help the economy as well. And the optimism is great. What about kind of a investment question? What did you think about the Bitcoin, this whole Bitcoin phase? Did you ever get into that, Joe?
No, I've totally stayed away from that.
It's scary.
I don't have any interest in Bitcoins.
Isn't it interesting? You think about that, and the people are investing money in something that they don't really know it and understand it fully. And they're mining these coins, and then you look at the ability to buy asset classes like real estate or something that's more secure. But Bill, what about yourself? Anything?
Well, didn't Bitcoins come out for these shady kind of transactions? I don't know that much about
Some of it was, yeah. It was like the dark web. You could buy and sell a lot of the shady stuff.
So I don't know much about it, and I'm like Joe. I wouldn't get involved.
Yeah. It's one of the rules.
A check for something.
One of the rules in investing, you don't risk money that you can't lose in the first place, and then now something like Bitcoin coin comes about and it's kind of popular. Cryptocurrencies in general are popular, but I want to thank Attorney Joe Pippen. I want to thank Bill Blair, all of our listeners out there, viewers of our TV show, and we want you to please please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness, something as simple as packing up some leftover food, clothing that you have, carry it with you to and from your commute, and be a force for good in the community. Do something kind for one another. And like us on Facebook, Brandon Rhymes PA, on Instagram at Brandon Rhymes 1, Twitter at Brandon Rhymes 1, and we appreciate you tuning in to the show. Looking for other business owners that might want to join us on air as well. We have select few categories that we're looking for: immigration law, property casualty insurance, different types of business owners in those areas. So reach out, consumerqb.com, and we'll see you next time here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show, weekday afternoons at 5 on AM 1380. The Biz.